As a programmer, there's something that you should always be concerned about, and that is writing less lines of code. There are many ways in which you can save lines of code, and one of them is creating functions. Functions are pieces of code that you'll be able to call as many times as you need without having to rewrite them. We've done something similar with the for or with every single loop that we talked about, the for and the while loops, but the functions work a little bit different. Functions, you can define functions and not call them, or define functions and call them as many times as you want. But you have to call them. They don't just execute by writing them. Let's write a very simple function to show you how this works. So to define a function, you just write func, and the function is going to require a name. I'm just going to call this function add. Now the functions sometimes are just defined like this and maybe have some body. I will call this body, and in here I'm just going to print hello from a function. And right now nothing happens because I'm not calling the function, but as soon as I call it like this, the function is called and the print is shown. Great, you have a function right now. This doesn't really do anything related to the name of the function. So to add some value to the function, I may want to add parameters. And the first one that I'm going to add is first number, and this is going to be of type double. This is how I define, double. This is how I add parameters. And I will add a second one, which is also going to be double. And because this is an add function, what I want to do is print first number plus second number, like this. And so when this is changed from the original function, you may notice that the result is not changing. That is because on the call to the function, I need to actually pass the numbers that I need, that it asks for. So now that I have passed two numbers at 10.0 and at 10.5, now the function can return or print 20.5. That is very simple actually. But usually you'll need the function to return a value. Right now it's not returning anything, it's just doing whatever is inside of the body. But what happens if instead of printing I want to define another variable, which is going to be result, and result is going to be equal to first number plus second number. How do I get that result? I still get that in here because I'm getting the value of result, but what happens if I want to print the result in here, outside of the function? Well, I will need the function to return something. And in fact, I can do it by adding this. No, not that, double, like that. That simple arrow is going to allow the function to return a value. So to return something, as you can see, because I'm not returning anything right now, I have an error there. I just have to add the return and return the result. And now I can actually set var result equals to whatever the add function returns from adding these two things, and print the result outside of this, like this. So as you can see, it is very simple. All I have to do is tell the function that I need to return something and of what type is that return, add the return statement right here, to what is it that I'm going to return. And finally, when I call the function, I need to assign that value that is returned to something. I'm defining another variable which is also called result, and finally I am printing it. It is that simple to add functions that have parameters that return values.